From a very disappointing Game of Thrones finale to the thundering success of House of the Dragon, it seems another magical production is on its way. The word on the street is that another Game of Thrones prequel is in the works. That ought to make your day, right? This time around, though, the production is about the first Targaryen conquest. Yep, HBO is working on a second prequel about Aegon's conquest, a project that's currently in the early stages of development. And we all have the success of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon to thank for that. The adaptation of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series turned into the feature production of Game of Thrones. And then its follow-up, House of the Dragon, is based on the author's book, Fire and Blood. As dramatic as those titles may sound, trust me, their adaptations are 10 times that. Still, both series proved to be huge successes for the premium cable network. So, naturally, HBO now seems to be going forward with a new fantasy franchise show. And why should it not? Variety reports that HBO is actively discussing a Game of Thrones prequel, this time featuring Aegon's conquest. Since the project is still in its early stages, there isn't a writer connected, but one is being sought. But that's not where the excitement ends. According to sources, there could be a feature film that introduces the series. Granted, these plans are tentative. They're still exciting, aren't they? Obviously, an official statement from the network would strengthen these things and allow viewers to know what to expect. But, sadly, HBO declined to make a formal statement on the entire situation. So let's just stick to what we know. The subsequent Game of Thrones prequel would be ideal with Aegon's conquest. The recently rumored prequel will follow Aegon Targaryen and his sister wives Visenya and Rhaenys. We watch as the three conquer the kingdoms of Westeros on the backs of their dragons Balerion, Vhagar, and Meraxes. But that's not all. Apparently, it would join the Jon Snow sequel series as one of many Game of Thrones spin-offs now in production. Given how frequently it was mentioned in both the original series and House of the Dragon, the Aegon's Quest campaign is the ideal topic for the next Game of Thrones prequel. It would be appropriate to follow up the first prequel, which focused on the fall of House Targaryen, all by detailing the conquest that brought the Seven Kingdoms together under Targaryen rule. One can't help but appreciate the symmetry. So, it comes as no surprise that HBO is actively pursuing the expansion of the Game of Thrones franchise with a second prequel series, and perhaps the first tie-in movie. Told you we're living in exciting times. Similar to the super successful Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Star Wars series, Martin wants the Game of Thrones world to grow into a large web-ed franchise. The abandoned Long Night pilot starring Naomi Watts was shelved the same day House of the Dragon received approval. Not because it wasn't a good show, but simply because it didn't have the same depth. The series was just another effort by Game of Thrones to grow. They may be a little aggressive, but it seems to be working. Still, after that tiny setback came the prequel show's enormous popularity, signaling the fact that HBO appears to have discovered the formula for the franchise's growth, and there's nothing stopping them now. Now, they may not have a writer yet, but fans have surely found their lead actor. Ever since there have been rumors about a new Game of Thrones spin-off, fans have been ecstatic. They've been speculating about what it may be like to see Aegon the Conqueror capture Westeros by force, even though there hasn't been any confirmation of the series yet, and talks are still reportedly in the early stages. That tiny little technicality hasn't stopped the masses from picking the lead man. And they wasted no time signaling out the one guy they need to see in the blonde wig. I'll give you a hint though. You've already seen the man in a blonde wig. Yep, GOT fanatics from all over the world have singled out, drumroll please, Henry Cavill for the part of Aegon Targaryen. And boy oh boy does the production even need a casting director when they have an audience like this. Although the choice needs absolutely no justification, I'll go ahead and give some anyway. Thanks to the man's godlike size and sheer grace in all things mythical and action-packed, the new prequel that will center on Aegon Targaryen's conquest of Westeros seems to be the perfect show for the guy. Besides, admirers of Henry Cavill have recently suffered some severe setbacks. The actor was unable to land the lead role in both the Witcher series and the DC Universe's Superman, the most powerful superhero of all time. But supporters feel that the actor would benefit from portraying Aegon and would fit the persona perfectly. He's already well-versed in acting in these genres. It's basically a match made in heaven. Speaking of fans, here's how they reacted to the Game of Thrones prequel announcement. The announcement of a new Game of Thrones prequel is thrilling enough on its own, especially in light of House of the Dragon's phenomenal popularity, a series that is set several years before the events of the original show. But now it seems HBO would move the Aegon narrative much earlier in the timeline if they were to continue with it. The majority of people are familiar with the tale of Aegon the Conqueror, truly one of the greatest Targaryens. The series would provide insight into the creation of the Iron Throne, the symbol of dominance over the other territories, and his journey to becoming the first king of the unified Westeros. I mean, I know how the throne gets nuked. It's only fair we get to see its creation too, right? And the viewers didn't stop there. Fans believe that Henry Cavill would be the ideal choice to play the GOT role given the character's intriguing past performances. But even while Cavill has received a lot of support online for this significant role, not everyone thought it was a good idea to cast the Man of Steel star as a Targaryen. Although numerous concepts are now circulating online and being debated by fans. But the discussion over whether Cavill should truly be considered for the part would become more fascinating if the series were to be confirmed in the future. HBO has not yet officially announced any new Game of Thrones spin-offs. One such proposal is a sequel focused on the well-liked Jon Snow character played by the iconic Kit Harington. As it turns out, Jon Snow may know nothing, but Kit Harington sure knows a lot. The character's reportedly the only character from the Game of Thrones franchise to have a sequel in the pipeline. He's also responsible for making the show a reality. Martin confirmed in a blog post that it was in fact Kit himself who proposed the idea of the spin-off Snow, a series that will quite obviously follow Kit playing Jon Snow and other characters that have yet to be made public. But it sounded like Martin is quite confident about this new project and the actors helping bring people in and making this thing happen. Still, initially, fans seem to have mixed views about the show. But ever since HOTD's success, they seem to be warming up to the idea. Besides, the series has been under development for quite a while now. Martin has confirmed the working on Snow and has allegedly signed a mid-8-figure deal with HBO in order to curate these stories. Although some fans are concerned, what's there left for Jon Snow to do? And they aren't wrong to ask that question either. Still, I won't put anything past these writers. They can always spin and twist and create something spectacular. That's a wrap on the new GOT prequel for now.